Welcome to Plastic Model Mojo, a podcast dedicated to scale modeling, as well as the news and events around the hobby. Let's join Mike and Kentucky Dave as they strive to be informative, entertaining, and help you keep your modeling mojo alive.
Well, folks, welcome to episode 84 of Plastic Model Mojo. Dave, how you doing tonight?
I'm not doing too bad. How about yourself?
I can't complain. It's coming off a busy week. More about that in a little bit, but I don't know. Everything's clipping along, man. Some things better than others. So what's up in your model sphere, my man?
Pressure. Pressure is up in my model sphere. It turns out I've got 18 days to get this Moosaroo finished, and while it's not in bad shape, it's not where I want it to be. So I predict a couple of long sessions are in my near future if I hope to get this thing done, because I've got to at least get it finished to the point I can photograph it.
Well, a couple of those folks have already crossed the finish line, so
I think almost everybody has. So well, I'm feeling the pressure. You know, I was resigned to the fact that given the competitors, I wasn't going to win, but I got to get it done.
Well, I hope you get it done.
You and me both, brother. You and me both. So how about your model sphere?
Well, ramping up for the start of the show season for us. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to be able to make it up to Columbus with you and Skip this coming weekend.
Yep. Oh, speaking of that, I got to reach out to Skip.
Other than that, I tell you, last week was a low mojo week. I had lots of going on outside of the model sphere, and man, I had just about every night until the weekend was come down here and give the bench the 1,000-yard stare. I so sympathize with that. I've been having that probably the last 2 weeks. My trial canceled, and so in theory I had all this time, and then just one thing after another, and I too have ended up down at the bench too many nights with lots of looking and no acting. Well, hopefully. Well, you're going to the show. I'm hoping to go to the show. Maybe that'll be the stick in the arm.
There you go. Hey, listen, there is nothing like a model show to reinvigorate you.
Well, that's for sure.
Since we're recording, I'm assuming that means you've got a modeling fluid to hand.
I do, Dave. Dave, I've got a Cerveza from West 6 Brewing right here in Lexington, Kentucky.
Oh, I did a West 6 not too long ago. Which one you got?
It's Cerveza. That's the name of it.
Okay.
It mimics some of the Mexican brews, like a Pacifico or a Modelo Especial.
Oh, okay.
Some of the little bit better ones.
Gotcha.
It's an easy drink.
Hey, recording night, you always want an easy drink.
Won't lay me low.
You want an easy drink, and I'm not sure I'm going to get one.
What do you got?
This is the last of the beers that my wife got me for Christmas for use on the Mojo. This is called Winter Ride. It's a double bock, dark roasted caramel Munich malts from Josef Brau Brewing Company out of San Jose, California. About a 7.5 ABV.
And it's probably real syrupy.
It is. It's dark. I can tell you from looking, it's dark. Hang on.
Might be malt heavy, man.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's very similar in taste to a Scotch ale. Although not quite as offensive, but it definitely is malt heavy. It's kind of the opposite of an IPA.
This one's going to be an interesting one to get through the episode with.
Well, good luck with that.
Thank you. So did we get any mail?
We got a lot of mail again. My goodness.
That's good.
Few repeats, but that's all right. We got
Yep.
a lot of newcomers too, so we'll just get right into that, Dave.
All right.
First up is Mark Doremus from out Jim Bates Way on the West Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm curious what their numbers were this year. He had to make a correction, he says. He's saying last year they had less than 2,000 models.
I think they had slightly
1,700
less.
is what he says.
I think they had slightly less. But I just talked to Jim today, and we're recording the day after their show wrapped up out there. Jim said that they had 2,400 models, I think, and it was the second largest show that they've ever done.
And he's created a forever job for himself.
Yes, in fact, we were discussing about that this afternoon. I think he realizes it's not a one-and-done job, especially when you hold a successful show.
Mark says he's a little bit messy like you, and like your 13-foot workbench with the 8 by 10 inches of actual workspace available on it.
Yep.
He's wanting to get his organization together, and he's asking, do we or possibly the listeners have any suggestions for a modeling desk that he can close up at the end of a session? Better storage systems or a covered desk to hide his mess. Now, way back, first season, I think.
Yep.
We recommended somebody one of those Gerstner knockoff tool chests.
Yes, from
Harbor Freight.
Harbor Freight, the woodworkers' tool chests.
Or if you got the money and want to buy it.
Yeah, if you want to buy an actual Gerstner's. That is a great one. If you want to go classy looking, a roll top desk. It doesn't give you a ton of space, but if you're modeling 72nd scale, it wouldn't be bad. And the nice thing about a roll top is when you're done, just roll that top down, lock it. Nobody, it looks like a piece of antique furniture in the house. So if you've got limited room and a wife that, doesn't want a model table out in the middle of her house, that's an option for you.
Another option is, I don't know if he's interested in moving out of the space he's in now, which is just kind of out in the living area of the house, or what do you say here? Kitchen table, main living area of the house.
Yeah.
If they've got a spare bedroom or somewhere in the house where there's a closet,
mm-hmm.
It's like not in a corridor or something.
Right.
You may have to convert the doors to either just swing open doors or accordion fold doors if it's got bypass doors on it. There's some examples out there on the net of folks actually putting a workbench in the closet.
Yeah.
And you just open it up when you want to use it and then just close it when you're done.
Right. Kind of like a Murphy bed, except with, you open the closet and pull the desktop down or whatever.
All right, it doesn't even have to be down. I mean, you got like 18 inches in there.
Yeah. True enough.
So could work for you, Mark. I don't know what your exact situation.
I'll be interested to see what the members suggest. So you all out there, especially you who are modeling in tight spaces or, where you have to cover or fold up your work, let us know what you're doing. Post pictures on the dojo. Give us some suggestions other than the ones we've bounced around here.
Up next is from right here in Lexington, Dave, Peyton Strippelhoff.
Nice.
And he's 25 years old with a baby girl on the way, brand new to modeling.
Perfect timing, man.
He's only built some World War II aircraft so far, and he's thinking about taking a bite of Tamiya's 48 scale Phantom II.
Oh, big.
What if we had any advice? Now that would be the one caveat that's going to be a lot of airplane.
Yeah. Well, I've got a couple of pieces of advice. Number one is that's a big airplane. You'll need space both to work on it, and then when you finish it, because I know you're going to finish it, you'll need a good space to display it or store it. Number two is that the Phantom can be a little bit challenging shape-wise and fit-wise. Not because it's a bad kit, it isn't, but just from the standpoint that, it because of the aerodynamic shapes, it's a little bit challenging. The Model Geeks, a couple of episodes ago, did an episode on intakes that if you're going with Phantom, go dig back through their catalog, find that episode and listen to it, because that certainly will be helpful for you in dealing with those challenging shapes.
And actually, their latest episode, they actually, in one of their conversations, they touch on a little bit about the available 48 scale Phantoms out there and how they're broken down a little bit. And my impression was the Tamiya was their favorite as far as fit and engineering.
Yep. That's almost always the case.
Almost always the case, unless you get something really old.
Yeah.
The next two are some shows, Dave.
Okay.
First off is Jason Campbell. Now, he's from Tennessee, I believe, and he's the one who's been writing in about the Gunpla stuff.
Yep.
And he's asking us for around May 20th to come down to the Knoxville Club show. Now, we've talked about this.
I would like to do that if we could. Because, I like Knoxville. I think Knoxville is kind of an underappreciated, unique town. And so, I don't know. We'll have to look at what the schedule looks like.
Yep. Well, that's well past Derby, so
yeah,
shouldn't be too bad.
Maybe your parents can come into Knoxville and we can have dinner with them after the show.
We could. And he's trying to stir up the Gunpla crowd down there in that region to attend, and because they've got their own category in the show now. So
good.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And to our point about moving to other genre from Gunpla, and actually, to be fair, some folks have moved from traditional subjects into Gunpla.
Yep.
He's working on a P51 from Tamiya, an Edward MiG-21, and AMT A20.
All right. All good subjects.
And a Tester's U2. ER2.
Oh, man.
Is that the old Hawk kit?
That's. I don't know that it was ever out in a Hawk box, but it is the old Tester's U2. That kit dates back into the 80s.
And that AMT A20 is probably fun.
Yes. It is a challenging kit.
Pete Kulos, writing in on behalf of the Artist Preservation Group. This is a bunch of figure guys who raise money for historic preservation, and they're kind of in the Gettysburg, Pennsylvania area, it would seem.
It's a good place.
And he's asking us to give a shout out for the, what do they call it? Back to Gettysburg, August 17th through 20th, 2023. It's held with the National Park Service and the Gettysburg Foundation at the Gettysburg Visitor Center. There'll be a painting class on Thursday and Friday before the show. They sent us a flyer. We'll put that up on the dojo. And if you're in that kind of, what is that, central Pennsylvania area? Kind of?
Yep. Southern central Pennsylvania.
Yeah. Maybe something you want to check out, especially if you're into figures.
Yep, absolutely.
Or as a curiosity. I mean, we used to go to the Chicago show just as curiosity.
Mostly. Oh, I loved the Chicago show when we went.
Big fun.
Yes.
So there's the plug for that. Man, they just keep coming. Well, here's a good one, Dave.
All right.
Dear David Knights, Esquire.
Oh, God.
I'm writing at this time with the unfortunate duty of informing you that you have committed an egregious cultural misappropriation. An affront, in fact, to the culinary heritage of my home state of New Mexico.
Uh-oh.
In a recent episode, while waxing nostalgic about attending the IPMS Nationals in Albuquerque, you made some commentary, which frankly is too painful to bear verbatim repetition.
I know what I did here.
In which you have conflated Tex-Mex with what we in the land of enchantment know to be a higher form of Mexican food. I can only hope, as I know you to be an honorable gentleman, that it was simply down to you being wasted on peanut butter whiskey rather than intentional hate speech. Nonetheless, it is important as a resident of the land of enchantment to let you know that confusing Tex-Mex with New Mex-Mex is offensive in the same way it would be to confuse McDonald's with Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, 1970s Ravel with 2022 Tamiya, pretty much any other paint with MRP, Mad Dog 2020 with whatever modeling fluid you're drinking at the moment. Now, these things happen, and rather than commit the knee-jerk reaction that is so popular these days and demand that you be canceled forthwith, I recommend instead you attend sensitivity training at an appropriate eating establishment when you're in the Austin area for nationals. Fortunately, even in the heart of Texas, there are a few islands of sanity and a sea of bad ranchero sauce. Chewy's is a good bet. It is only through the cleansing fire found in a bowl of green chili stew that you'll be truly purified. I wish you guys the best in your journey toward enlightenment and the ultimate goal of being able to rejoin polite society. Yours, Will Pattison.
I have to give it to Will. He is absolutely 100% correct, and I knew it when I did it. The people of New Mexico take great pride in the fact that their Mexican heritage blended cuisine is both different and better than Tex-Mex or Mexican. And he's right. Having attended the Nationals in Albuquerque, I can testify that indeed it was some of the finest Mexican heritage inspired food that I've ever
New
had.
Mex-Mex, Dave.
New Mex-Mex, yes. I didn't know that they had given it a name, New Mex-Mex, okay. I appreciate his not immediately calling for me to be canceled. I further appreciate his opportunity to allow me to expand and clarify my previous remarks. So, I'm looking forward to some good Tex-Mex and, if we can find it in Texas, New Mex-Mex food while we're in Austin. And maybe a cerveza or two.
Well, as long as it's good, man, I'm going to eat it.
You and me
I like some green chili sauce, man.
Oh, quick story. When my wife was still flying for Southwest Airlines, in fact, back in the beginning, she'd go through Albuquerque a lot. And they had in the airport a food place that made a green chili chicken soup that she loved, just absolutely fell in love with it, and convinced them to give her the recipe. And she brought the recipe home and she makes it every once in a while. It is awesome. It just absolutely is. She's a great cook to begin with, but that is one of her best dishes is green chili chicken soup. So maybe sometime during the summer when you're here at the pool, Mike, I'll see if she'll whip up a batch and you can have some for yourself.
We'll have to try that. And you can get to Chewy's and get this re-education out of the way early, man. Get the big fajita chicken burrito and have them pile the green chili sauce on it. Man,
there you go.
That's some good stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Peter Kwong again from Vancouver, British Columbia. Now he's got some topics for the Wheel of Accidental Wisdom.
Good.
And then I guess he took a little humor in your direct-to-estate sale comment on your CA-133. Apparently he did something similar. He's got a A20G kit. Well, what's he got here? He bought the Coster Aero Enterprises kit,
which is an amazing kit
for $10.
Yeah,
because he's got the AMT A20. See,
right.
That's the second time tonight. The A20G kit from AMT
came up. Yeah,
and he's got the Coster kit. And where did I see it? I think it's Alan from Old Model Kits, our guest a while back. I think on his website, he's got one of these Coster kits and says that the parts in it, if you don't want to use the vacuum form, are a great upgrade.
Oh, they are.
for the AMT A20.
Yep. Bill Coster, who I believe was one of the designers for Monogram, he had his own line of vacuum form.
Yeah, I remember him.
Conversions, accessories,
full kits.
And his stuff was fantastic. Absolutely. Top of the line, state of the art vac forms for the day, and could be built up into beautiful kits. So, if he decides to do it, I'd encourage him to pull out the AMT kit and the Coster and take a look at it. And
just bash him, man.
Bash him and make a run at it.
Kevin Patrick's back now. The last time he wrote in, he was talking about that he had joined IPMS. He was getting ready to go to his first model show, which is going to be Model Fiesta, which was very recently.
Right.
So He did join the society. He did go to Model Fiesta, and he did enter his T38A in the model contest.
Good.
And had a great time. His first show. We talk about shows all the time and how fun it is. And looks like we were right again, Dave.
Well, that Model Fiesta is a good one to start with.
Well, he says it was a pretty good crowd. Model room, vendor room were crowded. He picked up the armor kits you're trying to get together. I guess all the hype around the Mooseroos got him interested in it, sounds like.
I'm here to tell you, it is a really good kit. You have to take your time, pay attention, read the instructions 3 times before you do anything, but it is a really, really good kit.
Well, and other things you can do at the show is buy raffle tickets, and he did that and walked away with a Tamiya 48 scale P38J and a couple of Glenn Hoover assembly books.
Score.
And those books are going to send him down a 32nd scale rabbit hole.
Yep.
I don't know. I don't know if they're all 32nd scale or not. The 2 I've got are 32nd scale projects, but
yeah,
good books. We should talk to him sometime.
Yep.
And of course, he met some people at Model Fiesta who were helpful and informative, and plan on going to their next chapter meeting. So,
well, that's fantastic, man.
There's your convert. And he closes with a bunch of life distractions. So, Kevin, we can sure sympathize and empathize with that.
That's right.
Sometimes you get the big bag of life, and it takes you a while to get through it all, get to the bottom of it.
Indeed.
Bob Bear, the voice of Bob.
The voice of Bob.
Now, since helping us out with some of our intros and bumps and ads and stuff, he sent us in a little bit of trivia based on something you said in a recent episode.
Okay.
The whole 9 yards.
Yep. I know what the whole 9 yards means.
Well, maybe you don't, because you probably think it means like everybody else thinks it means. It's the 27-foot length for 50 caliber ammo belts.
That is the reputed story.
He says there's evidence this phrase being used 50 years before that, pertaining to the fabric industry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So who knows? Interesting. They both could be right.
They both could be.
And on his bench is his MAK Machining Krieger Falca bomber. Sounds like his cat did a little dance on it for him, and
oh no, you
induce some negative modeling.
You must keep the model room pet free.
Now Bob here is thinking outside the box and thinking this could be an opportunity. Should he repair it, or have some twisted and deformed battle damage, or weld seams, or a patch plate type repair? You know, it's Machining Krieger. I think you can do whatever you want, Bob.
Absolutely. It's your model. You can do whatever you want. And, sometimes when life hands you lemons, you make some lemonade.
He'll probably come back and tell us where that came from.
Yeah, I know.
Mike DeFelice is writing in, Dave, to add a little commentary around your, comments and questions about the Airfix marketing direction.
Yeah.
He was a little disappointed to see only 2 real new tool series models in 2023.
He's not the only one.
And you want to give a shout out to Hobby Haven in Des Moines, Iowa. Well, they had a bunch of kits there, Airfix kits there, and the last time he visited in January, the rack was almost empty, and he said the store clerk said a lot of those kits sell really quick.
Yep.
And the starter kits especially, said the store clerk thought were really, really successful. So there's the upside to that. And he wants to lobby for an Aichi E13A, Jake, 48 scale.
That's the last one would be the old Nichimo kit.
Yep.
I think.
And I know somebody used to make a big resin upgrade for that. But anyway, it's old, and the resin's not available anymore. And he would mind seeing Airfix kick that one off.
Well, right and ask. It never hurts. They're always saying, if you follow Airfix on Twitter, they are always constantly asking, hey, what should we do next? So, you never know when they reply to them, and maybe they'll take up your suggestion, whatever it might be.
Bob Hallinger from Lancaster, Pennsylvania is back again. He's wanting us to talk a little bit about vacuform canopies and how to get them out of the plug and them to fit right. I don't know anything about that.
I've used several, and I can tell you I don't either. It is witchcraft. It is. I mean, there are lots of guys out there who do it and get them successfully cut out. I know there are strategies involving tape as a cutting edge when you're cutting it out of the surrounding plastic. There are other folks who put the kit canopy up in it, if it's a direct draw from the kit canopy, and then use that as a stiffening / cutting guide. We'll have to talk to somebody who does that really well, because that is one of those areas that's voodoo magic as far as I'm concerned.
And he's got a question for us and the listeners.
Okay.
What is the oldest surviving build you still have on the shelf? For him, it's a Tamiya Yog Panther he built in 1973.
I have a Matchbox or Airfix, I think it was Matchbox, Buffalo from, or at least most of the pieces of it, from, this has to have been mid-1970s.
Oh, mine's a little diorama made with a Tamiya SDKFC 222. I think the date on the back of it is 1984.
Oh my gosh, you actually dated it?
Yeah.
Smart move.
And you know what's interesting about this build is I've toyed about rebuilding it, not the old one, but doing it again.
Right.
With like the TriStar SDKFC 222.
Right. Just
do modern figures.
Right.
And just do it again and just have the two as a comparison.
Because it would, not only does it show all of your modeling progress, but I'm sure would show all of the progress in the basic materials, kits, and techniques that have transitioned over those years.
Oh, yeah. So, I don't know, like I need to think up something else to build, but that's had me poking around eBay for those things. Equivalent figures, similar poses, but not the same, but better new modern resin figures or whatever.
Yeah.
Certainly a possibility. Rock Rozak's back with the Detail and Scale.
So what are they doing?
They got another new book.
Okay.
And he wishes we could make the Old Dominion open.
Maybe next year. I would like to go. Having grown up in Virginia, I would like to go back.
Their latest book from Detail and Scale is the F-105 Thunder Chief.
Good plane.
Check it out, folks. Detail and Scale. I'm sure the geeks will have Rock on to talk about that one.
I would think so.
In a lot of detail, but, www.detailandscale.com. Check it out. I don't know if it's in print just yet. Possibly. They'll probably be at the Old Dominion Open in Richmond. Drop by. Say hello to them, and the geeks will be there. Say hi to those guys, too. But check out the new book, F-105 Thunder Chief in Detail and Scale. And finally, our friend from New York, Michael Karnauka.
All right, we got a question.
I was wondering if there was a memorable time when you entered a hobby shop that was so packed with kits and reference material that you felt as if you'd stepped into modeling Nirvana or Shangri-La. And is that shop still around?
I can answer that. Two answers. Number one, we are blessed that our local hobby shop is, for all intents and purposes, that place. You can walk in. It is packed with kits, with decals, with reference. If you're visiting Louisville, make it a point to drop into that shop. Give yourself a couple of hours, because you will spend a lot of time going through all of the stuff there, and you'll find tons of little detail parts and books. And I mean, we're lucky that we have that, because not many places do. The only other time I've experienced that in modern times is this has got to be 6-7 years ago. I had a business trip to Denver, and my hotel we got in a day early, the afternoon before the business conference started. So ended up getting to the hotel and looked up that Colpar Hobbies was like 4 miles from the hotel. And it was a beautiful day in Denver. And instead of Ubering or getting a cab or anything, I actually walked from my hotel to Colpar. And it's a very similar experience. You walk into the shop and it is just packed with everything that you could possibly want. And I spent a lazy couple of hours in the shop, ended up buying several kits, taking them back to my hotel room. I did not have tools or anything to work on them, but I spent the evening fondling the plastic on those kits. And those are my 2 big hobby shop experiences where you walk in and it's just almost overwhelming.
I've got a couple. The first one, they're both international, actually.
I figured they would be.
The first one is Continental Model and Toy Company in Kowloon in Hong Kong. You talk about 10 pounds of crap in a 5-pound bag. This shop is that. And, you know, it's
the one
funny.
Where you have to turn sideways to walk through the aisles.
Yeah. If you've got any girth at all, you're going to have to turn sideways to walk down the aisles. And then there's all these wire shelves up above ceiling level with his overstocks up there. And, if you're in Kowloon, you've got to subway up within a block or 2 of this shop and find it and go in there. And it's really unbelievable. I've been there probably 3 times in my Asia travel, and I've ordered from them since then stateside. And it's just so much stuff. And the prices are especially on the Chinese indigenous brands.
Yeah.
And the Hong Kong brands. They're ridiculously low. I mean,
Yep.
they're basically, you're walking in and the shop price is what retailers are paying from distributors here in the United States. And man, the first time I did it, I brought some kits back and the boxes didn't fare so well in the suitcase. And so the next time when I came to China, I made these 2 big 2-ply cardboard panels that fit inside the bottom of my suitcase. And then when I went to the Continental Model and Toy and I bought my stuff, I put the first double panel in there and then put all my kits and clothes in there and then put the other one on top and zipped up my suitcase. And that seemed to work out. So I liked it so much. I anticipated going there and buying stuff that I fixed my soft-sided suitcase so I wouldn't have a disaster. The other one was a long time ago. This was back in the summer of 1985. I was between my junior and senior year of high school, and I spent about a month in Berlin. And then our classmates, we had a tour of southern or Bavaria, and then Switzerland and Austria and Liechtenstein, all that. But during the time I was in Berlin, about a block down from the row house my host family lived in, there was this old hobby shop toy store, kind of a sub basement. You know, it had windows, but you had to go down below street level to get in,
Right.
Like a half basement kind of place.
Was it called the Führer's Bunker?
No, it wasn't called the Führer's Bunker. I don't remember what it was called. It's a Vietnamese restaurant now. I got on Google Maps just to see. I didn't think it would still be there, but I was just curious. I walked into this shop, and at this time I was still into a lot of the Airfix 70 or HO00 stuff, and 'cause we were playing war games on the billiard table at home with that stuff.
Yeah.
And I walk into this shop, and it's like they hadn't restocked their model kit selection literally since 1970. So on the shelves in there were Airfix, you know, the Play Forts, the Sherwood Forest, the Waterloo
Right.
Farmhouse, the Pontoon Bridge, the Roman Fort, all that stuff in the boxes with the blue ends on them, with not the round Airfix logo label, but with just the banner.
Right.
Just stacks of this stuff. And then the HO scale figures, like the British World War I Royal Horse Artillery that you couldn't find in the United States. I mean, it'd been out of production forever. And I didn't buy any. I bought a bunch of that stuff and filled up one of these pre-sized Deutsche Post shipping boxes you could get. It's about, I don't know, foot wide and 2 feet long and a foot deep. I mean, it was metric, but that's about what it was. Jam packed that thing full of that stuff, sent it home. But the other stuff I remember them having was like a bunch of, to me, 100th scale aircraft kits.
Yeah.
I mean, those are old.
Those are old.
And 48 scale armor, not the new stuff, but they dabbled in 48 scale, I believe, in the late 60s and early 70s.
Yeah.
Not much, but I remember seeing that stuff there. So that was kind of a Shangri-La kind of experience too. I mean, that stuff was old then. In 1984, it was old. It was 20 years old then, probably, some of it. Real fun experience. Well, Dave, that's all the email side of this. Has anything been happening on Facebook Messenger? No, I know it has.
Yeah, absolutely it
being
has.
facetious there. Well, what is it? Tell us about it.
Well, a number of people. Not only did I offend, did I offend New Mexicans everywhere by referring to it as Tex-Mex rather than New Mex-Mex. I also, at least two people pointed out that when I quote somebody, I ought to get it right because the luckiest man on the face of the earth was indeed Lou Gehrig, not Joe DiMaggio, although as one person pointed out, when Joe married Marilyn, maybe he was the luckiest man on the face of the earth. But in any event, yes, I boofed that one. So yes, it was Lou Gehrig, not Joe DiMaggio. Christian Gurney reached out to say, we were talking about why so much of what's being announced new modeling wise is 3D printed accessories. He thinks that it's at least partly a function of, since 3D is still, and CAD is still new to a lot of the hobby, that people are producing the accessories because they're maybe easier to model up in CAD and smaller and easier to print. And thinking that that's why what we're seeing in modeling in 3D is not full kits, but add-ons. So, which leaves open the question of, as people get more experienced and all, are we going to see more and more ambitious 3D printed stuff, including full kits?
Sure. That's probably a pretty good point.
Yeah. Speaking of shows, Zach Pease reached out and he asked us to mention they have an annual scale hobby swap meet at their March 18th, 2023, the IPMS Central Connecticut Modelers Club. They have a annual scale hobby swap meet that is March 18th, 2023 in Glastonbury, Connecticut. So he asked me to mention that. So there you go, mentioned it. Lee Edmonds reached out to dispute the fact that music died in 1976. He actually thinks it died in 1750 with the death of Johann Sebastian Bach, although he is willing to say that it briefly came back to life between 1963 and 1970 with Jimi Hendrix. Since then, he says there's nothing. Oh, and finally, a listener who goes by the name The Scale Armorer. So I have no idea who that person actually is. But he actually sent a modeling fluid recommendation. There's a company called the Rum Company of Fiji. And as you might expect, they make rum. He recommended one of their 8-year-old rums with orange chocolate and coffee flavors. And he said it is really good on the rocks or with a squeeze of lime and soda water in a tall glass. So, I like rum, particularly in the spring and summertime. Rum drinks are really nice around the pool. So I appreciate that suggestion.
Goes well with your 3-corner hat and your eye patch.
There you go. Arr, matey.
Is that all we got, Dave?
That's it.
All right.
this is the point in the episode where I ask you, when you're done listening, if you would, please go and rate the podcast on whatever app you use to listen. Please give it 5 stars. It helps drive the visibility of the podcast. Also, if you have a modeling friend that isn't listening to Plastic Model Mojo, we'd appreciate it if you'd take a moment, tell that friend about us, get them to listen, even help them set it up on their phone if they need to. Because a recommendation from a current listener is probably the best way we have of growing the podcast. The podcast continues to grow. We're thrilled, and it's all down to you, the listeners.
And after you've done that, please check out the other podcasts out in the model sphere. You can do that by going to www.modelpodcast.com. That's modelpodcastplural.com. This is a consortium website set up with the help of Stuart Clark at the Scale Model Podcast from up in Canada. Now, he set this up to have banner links to all those participating in this mutual cross-promotion through the website. You can go there, and there'll be a banner link to all the participating websites. In addition to the podcast, we've got some blog and YouTube friends out there. Chris Wallace, Model Airplane Maker, has been kicking out some good YouTube content and blog content of fairly recent.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Groves, an Inch High guy, all things 72nd scale. Check out the Inch High guy blog, and you can find a lot of builds there. He's a huge batch builder, and does a lot of interesting things, a lot of cross genre stuff, but all in 72nd scale. Stephen Lee, Sprue Pie with Frets, long and short form blog there. Check that out. There's always some good commentary there on the scale modeling hobby. And we've already mentioned Jim Bates, a Scale Canadian TV, just hosted the big show out in Seattle at the Museum of Flight. And hopefully we're going to see something from him again here soon.
Yep. And I talked to him today. We're hoping, and he's still back and forth on this, we're hoping that he's going to make an appearance one way or another at Heritage Con. So here's hoping that we get to see Jim in person in the live.
Also on YouTube, we've got Mr. Evan McCallum, Panzermeister 36, who set a dangerous precedent for himself in releasing 2 videos within 8 days. So
yep. And both of them are great.
Panzermeister 36 on YouTube.
Finally, if you're not a member of IPMS USA, IPMS Canada, IPMS Norway, whatever country you live in, if you're not a member of your national IPMS organization, please consider joining. The International Plastic Modeler Society is a umbrella organization that unites modeling clubs within a country, and then also does international sharing and communication with the other IPMS national organizations. It's a bunch of guys who are giving up some of their free modeling time to make modeling better for everybody. And it's not very expensive to join in almost every country. Please consider joining.
All right, Dave, let's take a short one here and have a word from our sponsor.
Plastic Model Mojo is now brought to you by Model Paint Solutions, your source for Harder Steenbeck airbrushes, David Union power tools, and laboratory-grade mixing, measuring, and storage tools for use with all your model paints, be they acrylic, enamels, or lacquers. Check them out at www.modelpaintsolutions.com.
All right, Dave, the Benchtop Halftime Report brought to us by Tackett Z. Tackett Z, the must-have tools for the model maker. Check out all Ed's offerings at www.tacketz.com. Dave, I know what you're working on.
My benchtop
you've already mentioned it.
It's got one thing and one thing only on it that is getting any attention right now. And it's the Arma P51, the Musaru build. Frankly, having talked to the guys from Hamilton, gave me a real wake-up call on how quickly I need to finish this thing. So I'm right at the priming, painting stage, and so I've just got to run to the finish, man. I got to run to the finish.
That's
else,
it. Huh?
That's the only thing.
Really?
That's it. I got other stuff on the bench. None of it's getting touched.
You gotta get that monkey off your back, man.
I do. So what's your benchtop look like?
Well, with the low mojo, nothing's moved forward, really. I haven't done any more work on the catapult for the E16. Well, I got all the highlight painting done.
Yes, you did.
I think I may have had that done last episode.
I don't know. I think you did it right after when we got together with the Canadians on that Friday. I think you put the finishing touches on it.
Okay, so that is all done. The thing's been clear coated again, satin finish, so it's ready for the washes and stuff. I need to give the catapult base a little bit of attention and get that primed. And I keep flirting with starting the weather and paint the airplane, but I haven't got there yet. Other than that, about the only other thing I've been working on is a buildup of that little kilometer post.
I was going to mention that if you didn't. You did not only print that 3D Russian kilometer post, but you've actually taken one, cleaned it up, painted it, and gave it a number and the whole 9 yards. And I like the way you painted it up.
Well, I got some weathering to do on it yet.
Right.
I really need to finish that this week because if I can make it to Columbus, I want to take it with me and take a handful of these prints up there. And if anybody's interested, they can take some home.
Sure.
For a nominal fee, maybe.
There you go.
Same for Heritage Con. I know some of those guys want them, and so I'm going to have to print up another build plate full of them and have them ready for that trip as well. But I want to get this thing painted and weathered as just a photo example of how to finish it. And who knows? I was joking with Evan that this thing might turn into the next Verlinden Buddha.
There you go. Yeah, it'll be in every Russian vehicle, every German and Russian Eastern Front vehicle base from here on out.
Well, we've been lame, Dave. We're going to have to pick it up.
I know. So, Mike, have you been buying anything model related?
I'm going to think real hard here because I think not only have I been lame on the bench time.
You had that big rush where you bought a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
Like a month and a half, 2 months ago.
Yeah, I don't think I bought anything since then. I've been good, Dave.
Yeah, I've made up for it.
My wallet is intact, and it's going to be ready for the first show I make it to, whether it is Columbus this Saturday or if it is Heritage Con.
Yeah.
One or the other, or maybe both. I don't know.
I have upheld the honor of our podcast by making up for your lack of contribution to the hobby industry, hobby manufacturing, and hobby-related industry. Because I finally did it. I pulled the trigger. I bought the Cameo 4.
All right.
Now, that...
Still in the box, isn't it?
Well, the box has been opened. In my defense, the box has been opened. And I also, at the recommendation of one of our listeners, went to Craft Cutter Supply and got 2 rolls of the recommended film for making masks. So I've got everything, but here's the problem I've got right now. I would love to spend a couple of weeks just playing with that, but that would take away the hobby time that I desperately need to utilize to get the Moosaroo finished.
Well,
so
you have to wait till after the Moosaroo Cup build is done.
That's what I'm saying. My pledge is I've got this thing here, but I am not going to fiddle with it. I'm not going to even download the software for it until I get the Moosaroo done. So, because I know once I do, I'll get distracted by it and lose a couple of weeks of hobby production. So
you should probably uninstall Cross of Iron from your laptop too.
That's actually probably true because I've played 4 campaigns, 2 Russian and 2 German. I enjoy the heck out of that game, man. You killed me.
Maybe in the coming weeks we'll have something to say here.
That's right. Maybe we'll go to Columbus and spend some money and go to Heritage Con and spend some money.
I'm sure I'll spend some money up there. There's a tool guy that Stu Clark keeps raving about up there.
Well, good.
We'll have to see what that's all about.
Yep.
Well, Dave, that's it. We're going to move on and hear a little bit from Bases by Bill.
Getting the right sized base for your model, diorama, or vignette can be difficult and time consuming. Bases by Bill has the solution with their all-new custom-sized display bases. Offering sizes of 4 to 30 inches, you choose the dimensions you want and get the size you need every time. And they can laser engrave the base with a unit emblem or text, all to your specifications. Better still, shipping is included within the lower U.S. 48 states. Built by modelers for modelers, Bases by Bill has bases and display cases for any type of model and for any size. Visit their website at basesbybill.com to see their products or to get your own custom-built base or display case quote. Use the code MOJO at checkout to apply a 15% listener discount to your order. That code again is MOJO for 15% off. Bases by Bill for all your model display needs.
Well, Dave, our special segment tonight is special segments. We got a couple, as you've already alluded to. We spoke to the folks at Heritage Con. But first, if we got any regional shows of note, we know we've got Columbus coming up, and it's kind of show season kickoff. So we got Columbus.
Right.
This will drop Friday. Columbus is Saturday, so
Right.
we can listen to ourselves on the way up there.
Oh, please no. Well, we've got Indy coming up in April.
Yeah.
So that would be Columbus, Heritage Con, Indy would be February, March, and April for us. And if we keep up a pace of one a month, I'm going to end up dead or divorced.
Yeah.
So
Gonna have to have a little breather in there somewhere.
going to have some breathers in there. But as far as that goes, those are the ones that I can think of that are upcoming. Of course, in the fall, we've got the Region 4 Regional here in Louisville. So that's going to be a 2-day show.
Yeah, that's a little down the road, though.
Yep.
Anyway, getting it, we could go to Knoxville in May. So we have
that's
opportunity. Right. We have opportunity through May anyway.
Yeah.
It's a lot of shows.
Columbus, Heritage Con, Indy, Knoxville, Divorce Court.
Well, better pick and choose.
Yeah, we're going to have to be careful.
Well, we had the pleasure of announcing last episode that is our full intent to be at Heritage Con here in March. And in the run up to that, we had the Hamilton crew on for a few words about the show. And let's hear what they had to say, Dave. Dave, we got a big event coming up here soon, and we have some of the team making that event possible. We have the folks from Heritage Con on the line tonight. We have Duncan Young, Ian Frazier, and Alan Murrell. And gentlemen, thanks for joining us on Plastic Model Mojo tonight.
Thanks.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, same.
We are excited because we're actually coming up there to meet you guys and hang out with you guys for a day or so. And won't you give us somebody give us a high level of the show, when it is, where it is, and what we can expect?
So it's Sunday, March 26th, from 9 to 4 p.m., and it's hosted at the Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum in Mount Hope, or Hamilton, directly beside the Hamilton International Airport. So it's a good geographic reference. We're expecting a great turnout. Last year, I think we were over 2,000 attendees, and considering that borders were not easy to cross, and COVID just coming out of that for early 2022, the world reopening, we're expecting a banner show again this year, and yourselves coming up. We've got other guests down from the States and across Canada, within Ontario. We're really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great show.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask up front is last year there were some restrictions or limitations, I will call them. I don't know there were restrictions, but you're taking pre-registration and you were kind of putting a cap on the number of attendees.
Yeah, Ian, do you want to speak to that as the head judge?
Sure. Last year, because of the big C issues, we weren't sure of what kind of turnout we were going to get. We were either going to get very limited turnout or just a complete avalanche. So we decided to play it a little bit safer last year, and we put a limit of, I think it was 5 models on per entrant, per person. just because we knew we could handle more, but we really didn't know how many people were actually going to show up with the restrictions. So we put that in place last year, but that is off the board. There's no restrictions in the number of entries this year. There is a restriction on how much table space you can actually take up with your entries. Yes. Yeah, and that happens to be roughly half a table, roughly 30 by 30 inches. So we did that simply because we know a lot of 30-second scale modelers who have been very busy over the last few years who didn't come last year. So we didn't want them to take up in an entire section with one entry. So we've put a physical size restriction. If you can fit it in that much space, great, pick as many as you want, to the benefit of 72nd and 35th scale guys. That works out well. But again, no restrictions, and there's no pre-registration this year. We had a little glitch with our system, and we decided that we're going to hold off on trying to roll out anything that wasn't completely tested again. So we decided we'll go back to the old school analog system. So download your form, fill it out. You can fill it out online, print it, bring it with you that day. You'll pay your money, you get your stamps, you take your stuff out to the tables just like we did, way, way back, like 3 years ago. So it's so it's like that, yeah. Well, it seems a lot longer since the last time we did it, but it's a system that works. It has its drawbacks. We understand that, but it's pretty much foolproof nowadays. So we're going back. We're reverting back this year. We do have plans for the future to go with an automated system, but that won't be happening until at least 2024, and we'll see how the rollout works.
Well, I mean, that would be great, but I'll say that even access to the registration forms ahead of time for just the average person come to the show is a big benefit. Just to have all that out of the way, just walk in the door, walk up to the table, pay your money, take your stuff to the tables, and not sit there at a table and fill that stuff out.
Now, speaking of money, do I have to get some of that really pretty Canadian money, or go through my change and pull out all the loonies and toonies to pay my entry fee?
Well, you could pay in U.S., Dave, but you're not going to get the exchange. Okay. So you're going to take it at parity. So it's in our favor. So by all means, bring your green dollar bills. We'll accept them at parity, and it's all good. We'll fly with that.
That's like the old West German marks versus East German marks parity trade at the in the checkpoint Charlie.
Bring a wheelbarrow.
Yeah.
Well, I had a question. We were talking before we got on here that we do a build night with some of our friends up in Ottawa, and I was floating the question for attendees coming from the United States. The vendors there, if they're retailers, they're off their normal premises, and I imagine there's probably some of the stash selling type folks there as well. Would you recommend for us, anyone from coming from the United States, to get a big fat wad of Canadian cash to come in there?
I would. I think you kind of hit it on the mark there, Mike. Retailers are going to be able to take card, but they're going to be taking card in Canadian dollars as their denomination. So you might get hit on the back end with, an exchange, which would be in your favor, but then any administrative costs probably. But yeah, the majority of people who are, vending stash, myself and a couple of the other guys, we've taken a table. It'll be cash only. Someone might do an e-transfer or something if the person's doing that on the spot. But again, you're going to be Canadian bank to Canadian bank. So yeah, I'd say get some exchange at the crossing or your local currency exchange, and that'll do you well.
Well, another thing I want to ask you guys was kind of in discussion of all the shows that are kicking off this time of year. It's kind of the front end of the show season. There's already been a couple, but they're really starting to get going this week and next week and on into March. John Bonani over at Plastic Posse Podcast said something They're going to be at a show in Colorado that weekend, so none of those guys are going to be at Heritage Con. But he said that this was the largest one-day show in North America.
Is correct. Also John came to our show every year up till the pandemic year.
Yeah,
and he hasn't been since because of the pandemic, obviously. So John's he knows us. He's been to our shows, and we've grown the show tremendously. So yeah, it's definitely the biggest show in Canada. I mean, John's is the biggest in North America, so I trust by his knowledge of all the shows.
And I would as well. In fact, I mentioned in our last episode, he's not one to speak from a position of ignorance. So if that's true, what's the vendor-scape going to look like?
It's going to be busy.
We have 130 vendors,
130 tables.
Yeah, sorry, 130 tables. We've got a few of those are retail stores. A majority are people who sell their stash off or collections. So you have a wide variety, and you need to bring the money because there's also some good bargains. And the other big thing is the raffle table. We have probably one of the best raffle tables. We have a lot of very generous supporters in the manufacturing and distributor world. They're giving us some extremely fantastic kits for our raffle. So you should enter. And there's one individual raffle just for the Border Models Lancaster.
I think Dave needs that.
Yeah.
That's no way to put it.
Yeah. How the heck am I getting that back across the border?
That's your trunk full.
I know where you can pick up a roof rack on Sunday.
There you go. You talked about the number of entrants. What are the number of entries, the number of models running? I know COVID made things a little crazy, but what do you expect as far as the number of models on the table?
Well, this year, our expectations are probably, as the chief judge, my worst fears are probably going to exceed anything we've ever done before. Because of our limitations last year, a lot of people only brought a couple of things, and they have this backlog that they want to bring.
Well, how many did you have on the table last year?
Last year we were just under 700 or 800. It was
824.
824.
Wow,
Sorry,
that is big.
And in the year before the pandemic, 2019,
976.
Okay, so that's probably your
That's your floor.
That's maybe your floor. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. So yeah, you guys are in a kind of unique spot because you're a little bit further out. You had the restrictions last year, which not a lot of shows in the United States did, if any did that. So I'm excited. I'm glad we're coming, Dave.
No, I am glad we're coming too.
Yeah, we're glad you're going to experience the wonderful Canadian hospitality.
Now, I have experienced it before. I will tell you, I was at the last Canadian Nationals in Ottawa in 1992 or 94, whatever, just early 90s. So I can swear to the Canadian hospitality.
So a question I want to ask is the limitations on what can and cannot be entered in the contest as it pertains to past winners at your contest or past winners or models that have placed at any level at an IPMS Canada event or an IPMS USA event. So what does that look like as far as the rules are concerned?
Well, the rules are actually published online, and it is models that have won a best of or a first place at an IPMS Canada or IPMS USA or a local competition prior to last year's show are not eligible. So if you've won a first place at a major show prior to, then you can bring it for show, but not eligible for entry.
And I'm assuming that this is all on the honor system. There's no real way for you all to be looking at every results for all the contests that have occurred in the past. I'm assuming you're simply relying on the honor of the modeler not to enter a model that's won a first place somewhere else previously.
Yeah, we rely on the modeler to be honest about it, but We also have a lot of our volunteer judges are very aware of what's going on in other shows and contests, at least the majors. So if something shows up that has won someplace else, we can spot it if somebody tries to sneak it through. But hey, all us modelers up here in Canada are so honest. Why would we try to do something like that?
And Dave's never won a high award that high, so he didn't have to worry.
Maybe Ian, you could go through some of the best of awards that are maybe unique to our show.
Well, we have actually a couple of standard awards, which everybody has, the best aircraft, best armor, all those wonderful ones. But we also have a couple of unique awards just for Heritage Con. And these are awards that generally we have every year. They're not yearly specific. They are what we refer to as our patron awards. These are awards that the various groups or individuals have sponsored specifically for us, and we have 4 of those this year. There's obviously the first one was our Best Canadian Warplane Heritage entry, which is sponsored by Arthur Redding and Arthur Redding Foundation. So anything that represents an aircraft that is currently or was in the Canadian Warplane Heritage Collection in the markings, that is eligible for best award there. The Eve Christensen Award, which is a modeler who passed a few years ago, who is very supportive of everything modeling, whose interests were modern armor. So we have a Best Modern Armor Award, the Eve Christensen Award. And then we have another award from another group who is done in memorial of a local author who was a very avid modeler and supporter and historian, the Bob Bracken Memorial Award. And that award is for the best fighter aircraft flown by a Canadian fighter pilot in World War II. And that was sponsored by Sir Isaac Brock chapter of IPMS. And the last award in our patron awards is not something that has just shown up. It may sound trendy, but it's not. It's been on our list for about 5 years now. It's the Antonov Award. Sergio De Silva has sponsored the best Ukrainian subject. So any subject of Ukrainian material, markings, origin is eligible for that award. So those are our 4 special awards beyond our best of categories.
Now, when does the show open and when does it usually wrap up? Because that's always something that, people try and get there early and they're always wondering how long the thing's going to go till everything wraps up. So what's your typical open and close?
So the museum's doors will open at 9. Vendors and volunteers, etc., will be there bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, probably between 6:30 and 7 a.m. And of course, there's always people who may want to try to sneak in the back door, but the doors open at 9. There is an entry fee. Just to go through that, there's entry to the museum. And that's separate from any of your entries for actually putting a model into the competition. And all of those funds, the entry to the museum, plus the model entry fee of, I think it's $2 an entry, that all goes back to the museum, which is, who this show is for. We usually try to kick off the judging no later than noon. And obviously, there's a lot of work to do, and Ian and his team have a lot of work to do for a few hours over the early part of the afternoon. And we usually try to get going with awards between 2:30 and 3, and let everyone wrap up and head home by about 4 p.m. So it's a fairly full day.
That's pretty efficient for that. For that number of models, the judging teams must be
busy.
very efficient.
It is. They're
busy.
Can we put you down, Dave, for Gundam or sci-fi? Can we slot you in?
You see me day a show. It's going to depend. We're coming up.
That's a soft no.
No, really. Listen. While nobody likes to judge, I understand what an effort it is. So you do think that you should, from time to time, contribute. Our big concern is that Mike and I are coming up early evening on Saturday, and we're meeting a bunch of modelers, mostly from Ottawa, and I'm not quite sure what kind of damage we're going to do Saturday night. So I don't want to tell you that I'll be in tip-top shape on Sunday. So we'll see, but I will at least try to think about judging a little bit.
Hey, maybe Alan, you could. There's a couple other events during the day to keep people occupied. Maybe you could speak to our guest seminars and other things that will go on during the day.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we have the Panzermeister doing a demonstration, plus Luft 72. And they'll be held in a separate area where we have the demonstration set up, and they'll be free to whoever attends. The other thing we had that come is the Rebels and the 501 from the cosplayers, just to keep the kids entertained. We have those there as well, and our raffle table. And I can't say, but I'll let your show have it first. We may have a manufacturer doing a product launch at the show.
Oh.
We'll see how that goes. That's always exciting.
That could be interesting.
And it's a major one too, not a minor. So.
Well, the Panzermeister is one of our Ottawan friends, so hopefully we'll make sure he's a good boy.
Well, he's supposed to drop by on the Saturday evening and work through the technology to make sure everything's up to speed. So then we'll turn him back over after that. So.
And then Chris there, Lefram. Rumor is he might be hanging with us too a little bit. So
yes,
we'll see. So our plan is, like Dave said, to come up there. By the time we get all our ducks in a row, it's going to be hopefully before dusk on Saturday. Days are getting a little longer, so we stand a little bit of a chance to do that. But Jim Bates, Scale Canadian TV, is flying to Louisville, and then he's going to make the land trek with us.
Good. Oh, perfect. Good.
So we're going to have a lot of folks there at the show, and we're really, really looking forward to it. So we figured, why not? The Sunday makes it a little hard for us because we got to take a vacation day to get back at a decent time, and that's all right. Yeah. We don't do that too much.
We did try and change it for you guys, but so the museum wasn't particularly forthcoming with saying a Saturday this year. Maybe in the future.
I understand, and that not just for us. I
know.
I would think the Sunday is a little odd for everybody. Maybe it's just I'm wrong.
I think your point's taken. Like, I used to live in Ottawa, and I've done that Southern Ontario to Ottawa drive. That's a good 5 to 6 hours with stops and no weather. So they have a long night ahead of them if they're there till 4:00. So, we've taken the feedback. It's interesting how our show's evolved. I was part of the club in 2009, and that was, I think, Heritage Con 3 or 4. And we might have had 20 tables of models, maybe less. Maybe we had 20 vendor tables. It was, new show. It was in February at that time. And part of the reason, and Alan could speak to the history more, was we were on a Sunday because it wasn't a busy day.
Sure. Given the venue, that makes perfect sense.
I used to live in Ottawa. I moved back down to this Southern Ontario. And when I came back to the club in 2019, drastically different, right? Like hundreds of models on the table. The place is packed, and that's just pretty incredible, just for someone who's been at different ends of the spectrum here. So,
well, we figured it out, so we're going to be there. And Dave, you got anything else to say? I mean, we're really looking forward to it. We're glad we've made this decision, and we can't wait. So we got a lot of stuff lined up outside of the show already, and really looking forward to the show.
Yeah. Now I'm just worried that the Canadians won't let us into the country.
Just don't forget your passports.
Yeah.
Well, guys, is there anything else about HeritageCon you'd like to say before we wrap it up?
I think we covered everything from our side as far as I mean, again, the quick thing is just say we've also got a licensed restaurant on the site, and there's also a gift shop at the museum. So there's always other areas to spend your money.
I was actually just at the museum this afternoon with my son, and the Lancasters, going through that winter maintenance. If someone's looking to see, what does the inside of a Bombay actually look like, or what do those Merlin engines actually look like? That's kind of the nice time of being in the museum at this time of the year. Is there's lots going on. It's pretty cool. So it'll be great to see everyone.
Well, gentlemen, we thank you. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Great, thanks very much.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Take care.
Well, Dave, I'm really looking forward to that, and hope Jim gets to come.
Me too. I was a little disappointed the guys wouldn't take the bribe to move the show a month further along to give me a little more time to finish up the Moosaroo, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, and we're going to have a good time with our Canadian friends at our off-site location.
Yep.
Got that all lined up. It's going to be a good time, man.
Yes, it should be a great time.
Well, in addition to talking to the Hamilton crew, we talked to somebody else.
Yep.
Mr. Len Pilhofer, show chairman for the 2023 IPMS National Convention in San Marcos, Texas, stopped by for a few words, and let's have a listen, Dave.
You got it.
Come and make it in Texas, Dave. We're getting close, man. At the time of this recording, as my math is correct, it's 162 days away from the IPMS National Convention in San Marcos, Texas. And we got a treat tonight for our update. We have Mr. Big Boss Show Chairman himself, Len Pilhofer, on the line. Len, what is going on?
Hey, how you doing, Mike? Good to talk to you, and Dave, good to talk to you as well tonight.
So are you anxious? You ready?
I think when I saw you guys last year in Omaha, my one overall comment was I want this convention I could have it tonight if I could, because we've been talking about this thing since 2017, I think.
Yes.
And we won the bid in 2018. Then COVID decided to, as everybody knows, we had to postpone it. But no, I am ready to have this convention.
You are the one show chairman who has lived every show chairman's nightmare. The show chairman takes on this responsibility of putting on the national, and I've talked to a number of them, and they all talk about nightmares for the month beforehand, where something, they show up at the venue and it's not booked or there are no tape. But you lived the actual nightmare of having the nationals canceled due to a pandemic.
I remember watching the news, was it late 2019, early 2020? And then I think it was around February this time. Yeah, this time.
Last week in February, first week in March.
In March is when everything started unraveling across the country. And I was like, oh my God, what is this going to affect the show? And then that's when we started discussions with the E-Board at the time, John Nowak and TJ Miziolek, who was the second VP at the time, and we were having weekly discussions about what are we going to do.
Well, and you and I ended up
Dave,
to meet and talk and work out a deal to
lawyer. Yeah, we were talking with the Embassy Suites with their general manager on what options we had.
And we got it worked out, but So you more than any other show chairman have to be really ready for this show.
I feel like I'm over ready, and I'm over analyzing the little things a little too much, to the point where I just have to sometimes, if it seems like nobody can get a hold of me, I'm backing away on purpose because I feel like I'm so close to everything.
Sure.
And I have to sit back and let my team, and I am, sit back and let my team do the work, the details that they want to work, whether it's registration or the contest or vendors or the seminars. Everything's chugging along, and we're getting close to a point where we're going to be releasing a lot more details, and we can talk about that tonight.
Well, okay, why don't you just go ahead and start and give us an overview of the show and what all you've got on tap. And
the big thing, of course, I think everybody knows this. It's San Marcos, Texas, halfway between Austin and San Antonio along I-35.
Yeah.
It's at the Embassy Suites, and attached to the Embassy Suites is a convention center, the San Marcos Convention Center, and it's going to be the 2nd through the 5th of August this summer. We are, like you guys, most everybody knows, the rooms went on sale back in 2022, back in, September, was it? We opened the room block up and
for 10 minutes.
For 10, yeah, I think in 3 minutes, I think the room sold out. I know it was under 5 minutes.
It was very quick.
Very quick, yeah. 260 rooms in the room block, but according to the last room, I think we're up to 267 because some folks talked to Hilton to get their rooms moved under the convention rate. So I think Friday and Saturday night we're at like 267 rooms out of the 280 that are in the hotel.
Sure.
So we're at max capacity, and so we've been in a lull the last few months, as every year.
You all have, in addition to the hotel that is attached to the convention center, you all have other convention hotels that you've got convention rates and all. Are all of those booked up now?
No, there is still room. So the Holiday Inn Express, and the Candlewood Suites in San Marcos are all owned by the Haven Management Group, and we have worked out a contract with Haven Management Group to make them the overflow properties. Now, the one that's right across I-35, the other side of I-35 from the Embassy Suites, is the Holiday Inn Express, and that one has shown the most number of bookings. I think we're up around 30 or 40 rooms, I think, in that hotel that are IPMS, that are booked through the website with the IPMS code, and there's a few more up at the Holiday Inn and also the Candlewood Suites.
So there are hotel rooms available for folks.
Yes, there are.
Pulling the trigger and making that last minute decision. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and go.
Yeah, and it benefits IPMS if people book through IP. So if you go to our website, nats2023.com, and you go to the hotel link, and then it'll list the 4 hotels, Embassy Suites, and then the Holiday Inn Express, Holiday Inn, and Candlewood Suites. Those other 3, the overflow, if you book through the links on our website, they'll be booked with the IPMS code, and then IPMS is actually getting room tax rebates from the city of San Marcos for all the number of room nights that we are buying from the hotels in the city, and I'm putting that money toward the shuttle service that we're close to nailing down. Good. So we're going to run shuttles from the airport, Austin Airport, down to the Embassy Suites on Wednesday and Thursday. And then we're going to run a local shuttle on Wednesday through Saturday that's going to do a loop throughout San Marcos from like 8 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night.
That is really, really good news. And I think that's one of the things, people want to be in the hotel that's attached to the convention center. The way yours is set up, you don't have quite that luxury as far as size and all.
Yeah, unfortunately, the hotel and the convention center is right sized. It's, it's just like Omaha. It's a really great property. However, it's not very walk friendly in that area, unfortunately. And I wish it was. I wish there was more stuff that you could walk to and from. But that's just the way Texas is. Especially when you're situated along I-35. Everybody's got their pickup trucks and their SUVs, and that's how they get around.
But you make up for it by running a shuttle between all the hotels.
Yeah, so and I just got the contract and the quote it took a few months to get this nailed down. That's why I haven't been talking about it much. But we're I should be getting the contract in my hands any day now from the bus company in San Marcos, and it looks like we can work it within our budget for the show to run a shuttle. So we're going to run it between the main Embassy Suite. The main anchor point will be Embassy Suites. There'll be a bus stop in downtown San Marcos, so if you want to do lunch or hit one of the bars in downtown, you can do that. And it's only like a 3-4 mile drive. It's not a long drive at all, but it's not walkable.
I hear very good things about downtown San Marcos.
Yeah, it's nice. It's it's an old Texas town that, the rest of it grew up around it, but the downtown area has still got some very old buildings, and it's actually pretty cool to visit there. And then the shuttle will hit the 3 extra hotels, the overflow hotels, and we're going to do a stop at the outlet mall. There's a huge outlet mall just to the south of the venue, so all the IPMS wives can go spend money.
Always a good idea.
While their hubbies spend money on plastic at the show. And then the shuttle will loop back up to Embassy Suites. So those are the main stops we're going to do for like a 12-hour period on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday.
That's great news.
Yeah, so once that's all ironed out, once I actually have the contract in hand and it's been signed, then I will put the details up on our website, nats2023.com, under the events link. We'll have a transportation page that'll have the bus route and the schedule. I'll have all that on there in the coming month or so.
Now, one of my favorite parts is, if you've listened to the podcast before, one of my favorite parts of any nationals is the seminars.
Yes.
So I assume you have a pretty full seminar slate?
Yes, we do. And John Bonani, our second VP, he's actually our seminar coordinator, because when we first did, planning our convention for 2020, back in 2018, I made a public comment that I was looking for a seminar coordinator. I think I said that during the banquet when I was giving the briefing on 2020. And then after the banquet, Bonani approached me. He said, "Hey, can I be your seminar coordinator?" I said, "Heck yeah, you're on. You're on." So he is right now actually getting me details, and we are close to putting the seminar schedule up on the website as well.
I was going to ask you about that.
Oh yeah. John owes.
Seriously, it's the first thing when I show up at a national convention and I get my convention packet.
Yep.
Is I go in there and I pull out the seminar schedule and start highlighting the stuff that I want to go to.
Yep. John is right now working. He's working some extra what we're calling workshops, the paid seminars where, like the Grex airbrush seminar, we're calling those workshops, and he's actually working a couple extras that we haven't seen before.
Well,
and I'm not going to talk about those until those are finalized with the actual presenters. But we'll have those up on the website as well, and the tickets for those will be on sale on the 1st of March when the pre-registration goes live.
That's the question I was about to ask you. When does pre-registration go?
1 March is our target date we're shooting for. There's some very heavy hitters sitting behind the scenes. One guy named Mike Oberholzer, who's our IPMS treasurer, and Nancy Kennedy Hackney, who was the registrar for last year's show in Omaha. She's helping out Mike and our team getting all the registration details set up in Wild Apricot. So when it goes live, all the stuff in there, all the prices, and will be set and ready to go.
For listeners who don't know, IPMS went this past year to a new software backbone for all of the operations, called Wild Apricot is the name of the software slash company. And so this is going to be the first time that the convention registration is actually run through this system.
No, it's run. Omaha used it for the first time last year.
Oh, did they actually use Wild? Okay, well, good. Then that takes one of your worries away. But as anyone who's listened to me knows, pre-registration is the key. You do not want to waste valuable convention time standing in line to register the day you get there. Pre-register. All you then do is walk up, say your name. The nice person behind the table turns around, pulls your packet out, hands it to you, and you're done.
It gives you your name tag, which is your ticket to fun.
Exactly.
You in the rooms. Once you have your name tag, then the door guards will allow you to pass.
Yes. So pre-register March 1st. Get in there early. Get it done.
Now, for the listener's perspective, this episode will drop Friday the 24th. February's a short one, so we're looking at Wednesday of
Wednesday the 1st. Yep,
or 1st of next week.
And Len, let's put the other bookend on it. When does pre-registration close?
30th of June.
30th of June. So that's well in advance of the show. So guys,
we need time to make the packets and pack the bags and all the goodies that, we need time to prep those. So that's why we're closing pre-reg on the 30th of June.
Sure. So don't dawdle. Get it done. Get yourself pre-registered. Don't want to be there on July 1st and realize that you put it off and now you're going to have to go stand in line.
But don't worry, if you're in a situation where you don't know what your summer looks like and then you decide you can make it to the convention, you can register at the convention.
Yes. Yeah. All right, Mike, I've dominated. You ask him a question.
Well, everybody's going to want to know what the situation for the vendors room is going to be looking like, and
it's going to be very similar to the size that Omaha has, because the property actually the Embassy Suites in San Marcos and Embassy Suites in Omaha, La Vista property specifically, were built by the same company. Was it 15, almost 20 years ago now? And so while the floor plan is a little different, the actual size of the rooms, of the ballrooms that we're going to be using, are within just a few square feet of each other.
Nice.
Size. So it's very similar in size. We are in a sold-out situation right now with vendor tables. We're just north of 300 tables that have been sold or reserved, and so we're looking at a very fat vendor room. Actually, on the website, if you go to the website right now, nats2023.com, and you click on the vendors, and I'm the webmaster, by the way. I've been teaching myself HTML and CSS and JavaScript by creating this website. And I did create the vendor page with all the attending vendors. It's go to nats2023.com/vendors, and then click on attending vendors, and there's just a list of all the vendors. What I'm doing soon is with coordination with our vendor coordinator, is going to create a floor plan map to show where all these vendors are going to be. And we'll put that up on the website as well when I have all the details squared away.
Now, do you all have a waiting list for vendors?
Yes, we do. Yeah. Yes, we do. And sometimes, vendors will back out. Like, for example, Zukimura is on, they want to come. They've told us they're coming, but they're unsure about if COVID rears its ugly head again and what Japan will do. So I told them that they have until May to pay for their tables. But we're going to hold the tables for them. But if they back out because of, Japanese COVID protocol, then those tables might open up for others. So we're telling vendors who want to get into the show, even if we're sold out, please contact our vendor coordinator, get on his list. And if something opens up, we'll get you in there.
So vendors who are potential vendors should go ahead and still contact
let us.
you.
Yep. And go to our website, nats2023.com, and click on vendors. And then there's a contact link on the right side that sends you to Stan Spooner, who's our vendor coordinator.
And another topic we talk about with our show chairman we've had over the last couple of years is the trophy sponsorship status and situation and what opportunities are still there.
Yep, there's still plenty of opportunities with trophy sponsorships. I think we're at about maybe at 25%. That's just a rough estimate based on looking at the current list. If you go to our webpage, if you go to the contest and then contest classes and categories, it'll list all the 2023 categories, the new, the changes that have been made by the NCC, and then the current sponsors as they stand right now. And of course, the aircraft is really fat with sponsors, as it always is. We're about at 25%. We're pushing for more, of course, and I'll do more emails and announcements in the coming months to help push those. But for $95, you can sponsor a category that'll help pay for the first, second, and third trophies for that category that you sponsor, and your name will go on the table tent for that category, and it'll be on the slide. On the actual slide that the slide awards ceremony uses during the presentation.
What you got, Dave? Anything else?
Eating. As far as dining out, one of the things that I enjoy when I go to a national is trying the local food. In Kansas City, it was barbecue. in Vegas. Mike and I ended up going to a German restaurant. What's the restaurant situation look like?
It's excellent. There's a lot of good local joints. There is a place called Hayes County Barbecue, which is right up the road from the Embassy Suites, a little further north. It's called Hayes County Barbecue, and that place is fantastic. Barbecue, of course, in Texas, it's a little different than further north, but Texas barbecue is fantastic. My personal favorite, after living in Texas all these years, has been Mexican food. I just love it. I love hitting the local Mexican joints.
Yep.
Whenever I can.
And I am looking forward to trying some Mexican / Tex-Mex food while I'm there.
Well, Lynn, is there anything else you'd like the listeners to know at this point? We got the registration opening up, and
keep your eyes peeled on the website on the 1st of March. On the homepage, we do have a registration link. Once that link goes live, that'll take you to the Wild Apricot convention registration site that IPMS owns, that I mentioned that Mike Obelholzer is putting together. And so that'll take you out of our website and send you directly to IPMS, because all the money handling goes to IPMS. It does not go to the local chapter that's hosting the convention. So there's a convention registration link on the main page. Just go there and you can choose everything that you want to purchase, and it should be easy.
You have a shirt and a pin this year?
Yes, we do, and I'll be getting those up on the website as well here this week, so that when you if you decide if you want to purchase a T-shirt or a hat, we'll show you exactly what they look like. I have images, test images of the T-shirts. I actually have the actual hats themselves. We have both a white one and a black one that's got the show logo, the come and make it with the airbrush cannon on it.
One of the things I always make sure that I get every convention is a T-shirt and a pin, and I'm looking forward to the ones from San Marcos.
T-shirts, we're able to keep them to $20 this year. Inflation hasn't hit us too bad. Yeah, $20 for a T-shirt, $20 for a hat. We are going to sell a limited amount of extra pins. We're keeping, of course, the most of the stash, ready for the registration packets. But we will sell extra pins. You can buy those online, and they'll be in your packet if you do buy extra. My message for everybody is, the 1st of March. And then once the 1st of March hits us, then you're going to start seeing a lot more details from my team as we head into the spring. And then of course, I'll be, if you guys want to have me on again in a few months when we have more details ironed out, I'll be more than happy to come on and talk about them.
We'll definitely have you on at least one more time.
Of course,
as the convention gets close, because I'm telling you, I'm a huge supporter. The last 2 years, Vegas and Omaha, I have had numerous listeners come up to me and tell me that it's their first convention, and that the reason they came was that we talked about it on the, and it is.
I remember my first convention. What
was your first one?
It was actually relatively new. I'm a relatively new member of IPMS. So 2017, Omaha 2017 was my first one.
And that was a good one. That was a good one.
And I was like, oh my God, where have I been? Why have I not gone to these before? If you're into scale modeling, this is the place to go every summer.
It is. And I'm going to show my age. My first one was Indianapolis, Indiana, 1985.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't get involved in IPMS until I retired from the Air Force, when I stopped moving around.
Yeah.
And then I was like, hey, I think I can do some stuff with my free time I suddenly had. I got back into scale modeling and fell into my local club in San Antonio, and then the rest is history.
Well, Lynn, thanks for joining us this evening, and we look forward to seeing you in the summer.
Mike, it's good talking to you. Dave, it's good talking to you too. Thank you for the invite, and I'm looking forward to next time.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm really excited about that trip too, Dave.
You and me both.
If it all comes to fruition, it sounds like it's going to be you and me and our Canadian stowaway.
Yep.
Cruising down on a 15-hour haul to San Marcos, Texas from Louisville, Kentucky.
Well, we're going to have to sit down and map that out, man. Later in the year, out by the pool with a drink in hand, we're going to have to pull out a map and map out how we want to go and where we want to stop, et cetera, because that's going to be an epic adventure. So, Mike, we're getting here toward the end of the episode, and I assume that means toward the end of the modeling fluid. So, how's your modeling fluid?
The Cerveza from West 6 here in Lexington is a good beer. It's nothing fancy, just a good solid beer, man. I recommend it. I recommend most of the West 6 brews if you're in their distribution. They're all pretty good. I'm more curious about yours, though. How'd that go?
It got better over time. That initial sip or first few sips, very malty, which isn't particularly my thing. But as you got into the beer, that kind of disappeared just simply because you were now used to it. I'm sure the 7.5% ABV didn't hurt as far as lessening your attention to the malt. It's dark, but it's not chocolate dark. It's heavy, but it's not super heavy. It's not like a porter or a cream stout heavy. It's drinkable. I can see this being, the beer's called Winter Ride, and I can see this definitely being a beer. You know, you come in after shoveling the driveway or whatever, and you've got the, plate of sausages and whatever on the plate, and cracking open a beer and tying into a nice winter meal. Now, luckily for us, winter seems to be disappearing quickly around Kentucky. In fact, it's predicted to be record-setting 75 degrees tomorrow. So maybe the time for this beer has probably passed. But I wouldn't turn my nose up at it if it was served to me.
Well, I'm curious what your next adventure is going to be. Like you said, that's the last of your Christmas beer.
Yep, I'm going to have to come up with something new.
All right.
Mike, do you have any shout-outs for this episode?
Dave, I want to shout out all the folks who have taken the time and the desire to support the show through either Patreon or PayPal. If anyone would like to join the ranks of those who have done that and would like to make a recurring contribution, you can do that by going to www.patreon.com/plasticmodelmojo. There you can make a recurring contribution from any amount from $1 on up, and they'll handle the billing for that. Take care of all that for you. If you'd like to make a one-time contribution or manage everything yourself, you can do that via PayPal. And you can do that by going to www.plasticmodelmojo.com, our homepage for the podcast. In the upper right-hand corner of the homepage is a heart icon that will take you to PayPal. And there you can do whatever you'd like. And folks, we sure appreciate it. Keeps this thing moving forward. So thank you. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. I second that. Thank you very, very much. My shout out is to the guys from Hamilton, our Canadian friends. They've been very welcoming and very encouraging, not only having chosen as a Mooseroo a subject and scale that I can actually have a hope of building. That's another reason I need to finish this. But also, they've just been really, really a good group of guys in trying to get Mike and I to come up there and to let us know, how welcome we'd be up there. And I'm really looking forward to it, I've got to say.
All right, man. Dave, we are at the end of this episode.
You know what they say, Mike.
So many kids, Dave.
All time, Mike.
All right, man. Stay good.